I would like to invite
Pirmos
Asta
šį rytą
Žukaitė-Nalivaikienė, who's gonna
noriu
be a moderator
kviesti
for this panel.
Astą
So everyone, please
Žukaitę
welcome Asta.
Nalivaikienę, kuri bus šios
And
diskusijos
Asta, the stage is
moderatorė.
yours.
Taigi, Asta, scena jūsų.
Tai labas rytas visiems. Ši diskusija vyks lietuvių kalba.
Good morning, everybody. This discussion will be in Lithuanian. Thank you for presentation. I'm the sportscaster in LNK TV. It will be great to moderate this discussion, and it's great to see so many familiar faces. Today we will discuss about leadership, not only on the pitch, but beyond, while being active in sports and after the career. Actually, more and more people start thinking what they will leave after themselves. At least I get an impression that the word legacy has become really trendy. And people really want to know what they will do, what they will leave after themselves. And I, while preparing for this discussion, thought and remembered that there was a moment in my career when I worked in TV, in news. How strange was I feeling when I was preparing those sports reports, as if I was frying burgers in fast food restaurant. Every day there's a new report, and I'm always asking myself, where is that value that stays? So, but actually, where is it? And then I thought, and I understood that maybe those 2 minutes for some field, some sports is extremely important. And what I want to say that maybe not every one of us are making movies or writing books, and not every single of us play basketball and leave many medals for Lithuania. So this discussion today will be such where you will find inspiration, motivation, I hope, and maybe you will find answers to the question, what is legacy? And maybe you will find your answer. And I think we have perfect speakers for this discussion. So first of all is Olympic champion, member of the parliament, Virgilijus Alekna. Please come to the stage. Please make yourself comfortable. Rimantas Kaukėnas, the legendary basketball player and founder of Rimantas Kaukėnas Charitable Foundation, and the CEO of Arūnas Klimavičius, a well-known footballer in the past, now the president of the Lithuanian Professional Footballers Association, and Brigita Virbalytė, who has just finished her career, the most famous walker, sports walker in Lithuania. Now she's head of public relations at National Sports Agency, and I will join you. It was a long introduction. I said it because the topic is about leadership. But first of all, Virgilio and Rimantas, I would like to ask what interested you in coming here today and take part in this discussion. So first of all, such events like today, they are not frequent, and probably one of the first of such type of events in Lithuania in general. When we talk about sports, the benefits of sports and what can sports do and give in general. So I think that I'm in sports for a long time. I was a professional athlete for more than 20 years. And as I think I'm not too far from sports, I'm involved in sports activities. And my job, my position is related to sports. And it's a pleasure to be here and to share my ideas. Rimantas, I think that nowadays it's very interesting who knows what, who and who is trying to achieve what. So that knowledge is extremely important. It's extremely important to get them in a timely manner, on time. And currently everything is changing very fast, extremely fast. Evolution is fast. All the sports, all the businesses, they are trying to implement as many innovations as possible and implement them. So in order to know and be able to learn everything. So such events are very important. For me personally, it's very interesting to listen to each speaker, to talk to all the people, and there can be no better place than being here. It's fantastic thing, and I hope that this event, this conference will become traditional. I know you personally, but it's the first time we are sitting together in one place, and we are sort of having a ping pong with Brigita. Sometimes she moderates, sometimes me, and we don't have so many events like this in Lithuania. What do they give? And as Rimantas says, knowledge is very important, but what's that motivation when you're going from event to event? What can it give you to you as a human being and different sports events? So first of all, big thanks to the people who were brave enough to take this challenge and to organize such an event. And I'm really happy that the sports community want to grow, to become better. I was never the typical sport athlete which has only sports and number one in life, like practice, training, and competition. So I wanted to become better in my life, and all the such events, they stick together our sports community and make us a community ready for breakthroughs, challenges, and it's becoming stronger. And such events, they make us stronger and increase the wish to cooperate and be together. I wanted to thank Virgilijus for the organization. I remember when he came to football as a youngster, then was tennis, now basketball. So I think that the knowledge will help that start such an event from a small step, and that I'm really fascinated that I saw this person when he was still little, and now he's made such a leap. So with such knowledge, which is useful for everyone. So now let's start. The word legacy, at least in Lithuanian, it doesn't sound me so well. We don't have a proper translation. There's a lot of discussion in the world that like sculptors, artists, they leave really tangible things that people can remember, and maybe some people are building museums that inspire millions and they cost millions. Maybe Rimantas Kaukėnas is a little bit doing something towards that, but legacy. What did you ever think about what are you leaving behind? So to be honest, I never thought, at least earlier when I was the athlete, what will stay after me. So you focus on the challenges, results. You want to achieve results, and then you achieve. When you finish your career, the period comes when the life is not so intensive anymore, and when you return to that normal human style of living, then you start thinking, what have you done, what can you do, and what other challenges can be for you. So in my case, actually, I went the other path, although I'm trying not to be too far from sports. So the most important that you should infect, so to say, others with what you do, and the young people to find their own path. And in my speeches, I want to encourage the young people to choose sports, not necessarily that to be a champion, but just to do sports, because it's important to move so they grow and develop properly, well, and when young people fall in love with sports, that stays for long. And it's important from the side of the state that when state makes plans, it looks nice on paper, but when we go to implementation, very often it doesn't yield any results. So we are waiting that someone will do it for us. So I think that the main cell is the family. The habits that are shaped in the family to move, to live a healthy way of life, and the young people are doing that. So this continuity has to start with the family and then go to community schools and so on, but not the other way. From state institution, they make a directive and it goes down. So I think it works like that. So my mission, as I imagine, I have to show with my example the others.
Dear Virgilius, do you think that it is possible to use Reels and Instagram to inspire the youth in this age of technology? Of course, family is important. I agree with that, but the youth spend so much time on the phones. Well, we have a lot of experiences in our family as well, and our kids wanted, of course, they engaged in sports, but there were also those who were not so eager to go into professional sports, in particular my elder son. And this year, both of my sons had a debut at the Olympics. When I was in the United States, they told me that if you change the fate of at least one person, this means that you have already made a difference. And dear Virgilius, I'm sure that you are an inspiration to a lot of people, and in particular, showcasing your son walking your footsteps. And this is a great example. I would now like to ask Rimantas, who used to be a very famous basketball player in the past, and we do not have any similar example in Lithuania. You have chosen the path of charity. Have you ever thought about leaving your legacy so that people remember you? Well, thank you very much for the compliment, but you know, life, it revolves around our idea that our children become better, become more motivated, more driven, become greater personalities, become smarter than us. And we want our children to progress, to be better versions of ourselves. And we always put effort into bringing them up and creating the life for them so that they could learn from us. And of course, we often lose patience and we start just telling them what to do, what not to do. And I'd say this word legacy is everything that you leave to your children. And there is also this counteraction that you have to enable your child to make a mistake as well. You have to create the condition for your child to become bored, so that your child is motivated to explore the possibilities, to create, because this is the only way we can open the door to your child, so that the child is not afraid to go into the world. You know, in Lithuania, in Lithuanian basketball, youth players, they're told that if you make two mistakes, you go off the pitch. But you know, it is the mistakes that teach us. And my desire, my goal has always been to do what I can and to show example to my kids. And this charity foundation is just a part of what has been driving me for so long, because this is a great responsibility. And this has evolved into the organization where you carry the responsibility to everyone else. And this responsibility is even greater than your responsibility to your children. And have to become faster, as efficient as possible, and insightful. We have to take care of every person who is joining the initiative. And this puts considerable pressure, but you cannot stop. You have to grow, you have to move, because the applications, the requests are growing in numbers. There are an increasing number of people asking for assistance. And this is huge responsibility to myself and to the whole community as well. The example of my legacy to my children is the idea that there are no limits. Of course, Lithuania is small, and we have been very critical of it. We have been very critical of its health system, of basketball, of its politics, and so on. But we have to show the example. There is no one else to do that. And you have to show the person you are. You have to show what you represent. You have to show how you respond to current affairs. Well, for example, if you stay in the emergency unit for 3 hours, you're feeling bad, and, for example, you start criticizing the medical staff, but if you do not think that maybe there are even more serious patients there, and you do not think how you can facilitate the situation for the medical staff, this will not be a great example to your children. Of course, we have been discussing that we need to change a lot in Lithuania, but we have to do it. It is not enough to just speak about it. It is important to take action. Of course, this might take time to do that. We tell children that you should exercise for example, 90 minutes a day, or you will get too tired. But you know, you have to actually look at the child. If the child is not tired, then this child can exercise more. But you know, we have to give the opportunity to our children to make mistakes and to learn from them. And as parents, we want and we need to show the example. Brigita, Rimantas has been speaking of the foundation of his children as their drivers, and Virgilius has been speaking about his children. What about childless people? What is the driver for the people who don't have children? And here, speaking about the leadership, you are a great example. You are the person who has done quite a lot, not only in sports, but in other areas as well. Well, I also take the path of Rimantas. I do not have children, but besides sports, I have had a professional path. I have always wanted to inspire the youth. I have always wanted to become an inspiration. I have been written off in sports a lot of time because I also worked as a sportscaster, and I have never thought or actively thought of showing an example to young people. But I think I can inspire people to not be afraid of challenges, to not be afraid to make mistakes. And when I announced the ending of my career, I started receiving messages saying that I was the inspiration for young girls that were hesitant about choosing this path in the sports. And I want that there are examples to other people, so that other people, so that young people are not afraid to undertake challenges, to take harder paths. And even after 20 years of my professional experience in sports, I am receiving messages that I have managed to make a difference, to leave my legacy, and I'm very proud of it. And I think that my legacy is the following. It is no matter what difference you have made, but if you have helped at least one person to find his path, to learn something that he has been afraid of, I think that you have managed to leave your legacy. Well, yesterday I had this situation that actually motivated me. I had I had training session with a blind person, and this inspired me. This showed me that I can encourage a person with a disability, that there are no limits to her path, and there are no obstacles that you cannot overcome. And as we are sitting here on the stage, we are showing the young generation that they can be inspired by us. Speaking about the limits and the obstacles, I have been inspired to see Brigita working as a sportscaster, sports journalist 1 week, and then participating in global championships the other weeks. She has been an inspiration. She has been the person who has managed to combine two professions. And sometimes we even cannot imagine what we are able of doing. Arūnas, there are different performance indicators in your career, but after your career ends, how do you feel? Because, well, in sports, we usually focus on performance or on winning or losing. But what's next? Well, an athlete is always focused on the performance, on the result, and the next activity should also have its performance indicators. Of course, this might not be points, but this might be the added value you create for the community, for the environment. This can be your performance indicator. And when you start creating something or have created something, it is important to not think too much of yourself, because yes, of course, you help people, and it is important to not look down on those people. And I think that at the very beginning, when you are starting building your legacy, it is important to not become self-centered, because it is easy to draw a pool of finances using social networks and so on. But social networks, they tend to make you very famous. But when you have the funds, when you have the resources, it is important what you do with them. Have you noticed that the people who have done a lot, they are very down to earth, they are very sincere, and you are actually the examples of it? Well, Rimantas, have you noticed that the people who have seen quite a lot in their lives, who have overcome quite a lot, they're very down to earth, they're very open.
Pasakysiu, va, puikų
Yes,
pavyzdį.
I totally agree with you.
Mano
And
fondo
I would like to
asistavimą
share an example.
5-6 metais
During the
mes
fifth or
darėm
sixth
renginį
year
lietuvos vaikams
of
regioniniam
existence of my
gimtadieniui.
foundation,
Ir
we
viena iš mūsų
organized an event for
savanorių
children in
tapo
Reggio Emilia in
Nikola Maramotti.
Italy,
Jeigu jūs žinot, kas yra
and
Nikola
one of
Maramotti, tai
them was
mados
Nicola
pasaulyje
Maramotti.
jinai skaitosi
In
kaip
the fashion world, Nicola
icon.
Maramotti is
Max
considered to be
Mara
a
tai yra
fashion
Nikola
icon.
Maramotti. Ir
Max Mara is Nicola Maramotti.
vienas didžiausių bankų
And
priklauso irgi Nikolai Maramotti.
Nicola
Credit Bank.
Maramotti owns one of the
Daugybė
largest
tų
credit
brandų
banks,
įvairiausių, viskas, daug kas priklauso
owns
Nikolai Maramotti.
quite a lot of
Ir
brands.
mes darėm renginį
And we
ir
were
jinai atėjo
doing an
sako,
event,
aš padėsiu,
and
prisidėsiu.
she approached us and
Ir
said I would
jinai
contribute.
atėjo pirma,
She would contribute, and she was the
šla-
first
sušluota,
to
šlavė
come
grindis,
with the
paruošė
broom
marškinėlius sporto
to
renginiui,
wash the
labdaringam
floor. We
renginiui.
prepared
buvom-
T-shirts for the charity event together,
Iškritom, visi iškritom, nes tai buvo kažkas
and
tokio.
we
Ir,
were
ir jinai,
actually very surprised
labai paprasta,
at
labai,
her simplicity.
Labai žemiška ir
At,
bet kokį klausimą
she was
atsako
so
su
down
šypsena
to
ir tu
earth.
gali apie bet
She
ką
kept
paklaust. Tai
smiling, and you could
tokie vat,
approach her
atvejai jų
with
yra ne
any
vienas
question.
ir labai smagu,
And there are
kad
quite
iš
a
tikrųjų
few
tie, kurie jau
examples
pasiekė,
like that
jau
in the
peržengė
world.
save ir jie neturi
Those
laiko
who have
tam,
overcome
kaip
themselves,
sakyt, nonsensui.
they have no time for the nonsense, actually. Virgilius, you are an example for a lot of people. But who is your example? Do you remember or do you have any examples of people who have inspired you or your son, for example? Of course, any young person, whether it's a guy or a girl, have their role model. I, of course, have had quite a few role models at each stage of my life. And when I started my career, my athletic career, and as a young athlete, as a young disc thrower, I wanted to be similar to Romas. And when I ended my professional athlete's career, I stepped into politics, and our president, former president Valdas Adamkus, was my role model at that time. He was in love with sports. He was a sprinter, he was a jumper, and nonetheless, he managed to achieve quite a lot, not only in sports, but also in politics in Lithuania. So he is a great role model who was very simple, very open, just like any of us. And he was a true example for me. Rimantas, how about your girls, your daughters? Are you an inspiration for them? And I'm quite sure that Rimantas' daughters are going to become professional athletes, but I'm not sure what country they would represent. Is it Lithuania? Well, I hope. I'm sure that one of your daughters is doing professional basketball. The older one is a tennis player, and the other two are basketball players. Are they promising athletes? Well, you know, whichever country they choose to represent, it's up to them. Of course, it would be great if they chose Lithuania, but they have the freedom of choice. Rimantas, let's come back to our main topic, the leadership and the legacy. And Brigita, let's discuss about the sports career, and the qualities that sports develop in a person, so that the person is able to achieve quite a lot in sport, in business, in politics, and so on. Well, if not for the sports career, we would not have been here. And I'm glad that it is sports that has brought me up as the person that I am. Speaking about the inspiration to other people, sports opens up the possibilities to become a leader in other walks of life. And you can guide other people who encounter more obstacles in their lives. And sports helps develop the qualities that help us in our other areas. And we always try to be leaders, to be the role models in other areas of life as well. And people who we find on our path and who help us choose our path, they are very important, and I'm very happy to have met quite a lot of champions, a lot of athletes when I was a sports journalist. And you know, the Lithuanians are quite down-to-earth people, and this medal hanging on their chest, it does not change them as personalities. And these people that I have met on my path have motivated me and have encouraged me to do something else in my life as well. And we are friends with athletes. In 2017, we established a National Athletes Association, and this was the start of the idea that athletes can have a voice, they can make a difference in the sports system. Arūnas showed an even more successful path with their Footballers Association, and the people, they have given the wings to us so that we could combine our sports careers with other wonderful things.
So, Arūnas, you started the Footballer Association. So what was the motivation? Was it only sports? Maybe you were a leader from your childhood. There were some coincidences, maybe some difficulties which I had to resolve through the legal way, and probably there was one case which went to court, and the athlete won. And when you see certain questions that are being addressed by footballers, so this road came only naturally. I wasn't thinking before that I will be heading something, or Arūnas was telling, people were saying, Arūnas, you can be a good coach. I thought that I don't want to be a coach. I don't want to look for work for a year or more. And after I finished my career, I wasn't thinking. When I finished my career, my older child asked, Dad, what will be our income when you are not playing football? So don't worry, 3 years later we can talk about that, because you are still too little. And I was thinking about all my activities, and all of them were already made, created. And when you think about football, the higher positions are taken by defenders. So maybe the nature gave them less physical qualities, but better heads. So this is my case. So somehow it's just going on and working. So that better head is also applies to Rimantas Kaukėnas. You were the creator on the basketball pitch. So when you were a child, you were dreaming probably about NBA, EuroLeague, but did you imagine that you will be so successful also after the career, that you will have such good results of the foundation you established? Did you imagine it like this? It's not a secret that all the children who play basketball, they really dream about NBA. They are dreaming about playing and being like Michael Jordan or something. And I was no different. The only thing that I was really short, slow, thin, and realistically, I wasn't thinking that I will be able to be successful in basketball. And up to the 9th grade, I basically was doing what I was told to do. Then I started thinking already myself, because whatever way you look at life, at sports, it still depends on your individual abilities, wishes, your determination and character. I understood all of that only later, that realistically I'm not afraid of anything, no challenges. I'm not afraid to try to achieve something, to do something, because I know that if I put work into that, the result will come sooner or later. So the foundation was consequence of circumstances, because in the family there were various misfortunes, and generally there were those people asking for help and visits with the team to hospitals, and when you see that gloomy reality, you want to change something, to improve something. And I decided that we need to do something, but how much to do? It all depends on ourselves. And that's why we are going further, growing as the foundation. And I know that everything is possible to do. We just need to put in work, not to just feel pity about yourself, to have some sleepless nights, and the result will come. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, but it will come. And so all of those difficulties in life, they are small tests for your personality. They are testing you, whether you are ready to overcome them or give up. So it's all up to you. So it's not bad to be afraid. I'm always I'm afraid from time to time when I get new offers, but that motivates me to go forward. I'm not hiding. I'm really afraid sometimes, but preparation is very important, and you feel within you that you are ready, then you can do anything. So the time went unnoticed. We could talk to each one of the guests for 40 minutes and more, and there's still a possibility to ask a question or two. So if there are any questions from the audience, so maybe Šarūnas will come and give you a microphone. So if you have a question, please raise your hand and ask a question to one of the speakers. Everyone is fascinated with you. They don't have anything to add. So maybe Virgilijus, your final words, if you had a minute, what message would you like to convey to the people who are here, who came to listen to you? So probably I would like to go back briefly. Why am I here? So 40 years ago, I was going from small village in Lithuania. I took the athlete's path, and my story of 40 years. A lot of happened in it, victories and many other things. So I would like to wish you to build that story, that history, no matter where you start, but build a story which can be remembered and can be left as a legacy. And you can start today. Everyone is united here by sports. Everybody understands the benefits of it, and let's be, all of us, healthier, stronger, and better in the future. That's what I wish to all of you. Brigita, your wish? So probably the same message is that I'm spreading my story, and I agree with Virgilius. So it doesn't matter what path you had in your youth, but all of us can strive and try to achieve our dreams. And I agree with Asta about the new challenges. All those challenges motivate us to grow as a personality. And I wish to everyone who came here, you probably came here to get that new motivation, encouragement to try to achieve your goals, and you will find the partners in life to achieve that if we try to be a better version of ourselves every day. So in the future, we will be able to say that we've lived a life that was meaningful and we've left something after ourselves. And Arūnas, I wish for the organizers to have this conference not to be the last. And Rimantas, everybody should smile. So it's the first day in September where we have no sun probably, but thank you everyone who came here. I think everyone found what to take with you, and that legacy is probably the thing that we can share with others. Everyone can learn something in their lives. Everyone's life is sort of a book. And thank you for the organizers. The day is only starting, and we are having impressive discussions and presentations ahead of us. So once again, thank you to all of us.